Today, I will give you just a vivid description on how the whole system and how the asylum seekers going through this system has have impact their life, which have put them in great poverty and very desperate situation. Um, to begin with, the whole system is really complicated and very difficult for asylum seekers. When the system, when you start the system, you are provided with accommodation. Some of these accommodations are really damp and they are not fit for human habitation. Some of them, they give you a very strict notice that you are not supposed to have TV sets in the accommodation. And some of them, there is a problem of electricity and heating, which we, in a very difficult situation like this, we can't stay without heating in our accommodations. And then some of the accommodations as well are those that um, the household asylum seekers are really battling out. They are fighting together with rats for supremacy who owns the accommodations, which is really not fair as our rights are concerned. Some of these accommodation again, when people are having showers upstairs, other inmates are running downstairs to collect runoff or water dripping from the toilet that is coming down to the living room, which is really, again, not fair. And to worsen the situation, we are all given 28 days to leave the accommodation when a decision has been made in your case. And in this situation, those whose application are failed face a very greater challenges because they need to look for maybe friends, relatives who are going to come and help them pack their stuff out of the accommodation. Within time, if that deadline expires when you haven't done that, since they all consider us as some piece of trash, they come in with bin bags and then gather all your stuff and put them in the bin bags without taking care whether you have any valuables in the accommodation, and then put them outside. Change the locks of those accommodations, and then you become destitute. Now, when you are on the street, you are open to all the challenges of the wilderness. You don't know where you may be sleeping at night, and people may attack you, or people may come and maybe strangle you in the night or try to get money from you, which you don't even have. Why, at the same time, it takes a very long time for you to build another, maybe going to some of these organizations to ask for maybe a place to share in somebody's room his sofa, which is a very big thing for most of the asylum seekers. It's so disheartening and put us in a very difficult situation. Again, they say they give us 37 pounds a week, which actually that money is something very small to manage ourselves, given the economy which we live in. If you look at the way things are run in the UK, 37 pounds is really a small amount for people to buy clothes for themselves, buy food in for themselves, care for their transport as well. If any asylum seeker who wants to put that money into really a minimum use of it has to come up with maybe say £5 per day, which £5 is really too small for people to live on in this economy. And again, with the coming of the COVID-19, we see different stage put in place because asylum seekers are only getting more poorer and poorer every day. For example, the war has now turned into a situation where everything is done digitally, and most of the asylum seekers cannot afford the laptops, the phones, and the iPads, which they can go and communicate with other people. In such a situation, those who even have it sometimes lack internet connection to assist, which will help them to relate with their lawyers or relate directly with the Home Office to find out how far their case has been going. So it's really a very difficult situation, which asylum seekers' rights are taken away from them most of the time. And one thing that is very important is the hostile environment that has been put in place by the government, whereby their asylum seekers' rights are being violated in a very wide perspective. Most of them are being exploitation. They are being exploited in every dimension. Most of their rights are not respected. Some of them face constant fear, and with that fear in them, they are unable to go to the authorities to say something that they believe is right. And again, their rights are being violated in every dimension, especially including women. Most of them facing these challenges try to seek for solution, and by so doing, they become promiscuous, that they end up in a long run having babies. And when these babies come into place, they are unable now to manage either themselves or the babies. They are unable to provide clothing for them, buggies, and so many other things to help these children. And most of the children end up growing fatherless without having, they don't even know who their father is. It's so pathetic and very disturbing that the situation asylum seekers are facing is really, really, really bad. Most of them don't even have access to hospital care, which is something that any normal citizen in a country is open to have. You know, I was born and raised a Christian, and I continue to pray every day that things should really change, and people, organizations such as the Status Now Network, which is a collective of individuals that have are trying to fight for asylum seekers, that status may be granted to them, or come forward, and other organizations and people of peace loving who can really come out and change things for the asylum seekers, so that together we can all make this place a better world for everybody to live in and carry on our activities happily. I think that's just what vividly I have to put to you today, as far as the human rights of asylum seekers have been violated, for to show you how they go through these processes. Thank you very much for having me, and it has been a pleasure to expose on that subject today. Thank you.